Tonight on Truth, Duty, Valor.
The Canadian government has decided to evacuate Canadian citizens.
We are guests going into a country that's falling apart.
We say we like to train worst case scenario, and that pretty much was the worst case scenario.
When Canadians traveling or living overseas find themselves surrounded by turmoil, the Canadian military reacts fast. At all times, there is a company of soldiers on standby to leave in 72 hours' notice. These missions are called Non-Combatant Evacuation Operations, or NEO for short. And the training these soldiers go through to qualify for these missions is tough.
NEO is Non-Combatant Evacuation Operations. It's a task given to, it's led by Department of Foreign Affairs. The military has an aspect or a portion of it to go into a third country and help evacuate civilians from that country because of turmoil or any situation that may dictate it.
I say again, mission. Charlie Company will destroy all swank forces within boundaries and secure no later than H+2 in order to facilitate safe passage of Canadian nationals along Diamond Route to Airfield 21.
NEO is kind of unique that we actually go down and help Canadian citizens on someone else's soil and bring them home. So that type of mission really excites our soldiers. We're helping Canadians as Canadians that are in a bad situation.
It's a company group size element, which is approximately 180 personnel that are on standby on 72 hours notice to move to affect this type of operation and assist all the other players. So Foreign Affairs are probably the key players. There's also Special Operations Forces and JTF2 that would be involved, and different elements, Navy, Air Force. We're just one piece of the overall operation.
We maintain the focus on training on the high end, so that as opposed to a natural disaster, we obviously wouldn't be coming in here necessarily with all the force protection and all the weaponry. So we train for the higher end, which would be a situation of civil strife, such as a civil war or unrest.
Whether it's a natural disaster or a civil uprising, there's a very real threat to Canadians abroad who may be trapped in a troubled host nation. The Canadian Army keeps one unit constantly on the ready to immediately deploy overseas to protect and evacuate Canadians. In 2004, Canadian troops with NEO training were sent to Haiti and successfully helped many Canadian citizens to safety.
Okay, so just hang out, relax, get some water into you, and just wait for the show to start.
A NEO operation, as you can imagine, can occur quite quickly. You just have to watch the news and you can see a situation develop very quickly, and you never know when you're going to be going out the door. So it's important that the training test a full spectrum of skills, and so the soldiers have the training and have the training experience to base upon their judgment and their own operational experiences when they go out.
A select group of soldiers from Charlie Company in the 3rd Battalion of the Princess Patricia's Light Infantry have been chosen to endure NEO training. Over the next week, we follow this group of nearly 200 while they are tested to see if they're mentally and physically capable of dealing with this dangerous operation.
So that's a win-win situation, and it really motivates us for that. So we're happy to have the task.
When a peaceful mission turns bad, the men with mortars assist the troops when Truth, Duty, Valor returns. It is important for all soldiers to keep their warfighting skills top-notch. When entering another country where there's turmoil, the situation can turn hostile very fast.
NEO training, we could go into a number of types of environments. If you look at a country that potentially is falling apart, there's all sorts of rogue elements, complicated problems there within. So we have to be able to protect ourselves and protect the Canadian citizens as we're trying to get out. The warfighting training that we do, it applies to that, because when the chips are down, that's what we revert to, and that's what we are best at. That's what we joined for.
Although typically found further away from the action, the soldiers who make up the mortar line are key in providing indirect fire support and winning a battle.
Okay, so what we have behind me right now is the actual mortar line for the NEO group. It consists of 4 tubes. Each tube's got 4 soldiers, and they're commanded by a det commander, normally a master bombardier rank level. When he does that, the command post then takes that data, they plot it on a map, and they get a bearing and distance from where the guns are to the target, and that's what you heard them applying out there. They fire a round, and then the OP adjusts that round on how he looks at it. So if the round is left of the target, then he's going to give a right correction to bring it over. If it's plus of the target, he'll give a drop correction. If it's minus of the target, he'll give an add correction.
We have an 81mm mortar, that the guns we use, and we help support it with 3 PPCLI or the M2 groups. It has a C2 sight unit, which helps us to lay on to certain aiming points. So as we fire the rounds down range, it always keeps it accurate when we fire. It takes AT, a high explosive round. It's an 81mm. We have RP, which is red phosphorus, and we have illumination. But we're using now, if you want to come over here and I'll give you a quick clear on it. This is an 81mm mortar, and it has the increments of a charge 6. All right, if you want to pick it up, it's quite heavy. It's basically when it leaves, it goes up to a culminating point, and it will come down, coming straight down, which has a bigger killing radius of a 105mm howitzer. Has a 40 millimeter killing radius, as a 105 has a 30mm killing radius, all right? And it basically kicks out the shrapnel. This is our smoke, RP smoke.
It's just smoke.
It's just smoke. It kicks out at the base, and it kicks out the smoke, so the infantry troops, as they're advancing, it helps them so the enemy does not see them. And this shoots 5,750 meters, so just over 5K. The kickback for this is 28,000 pounds per square inch on the base plate.
Command! One round! Fire for effect! Fire! Shot round complete.
The soldiers that are there normally won't be able to see the target that they're engaging, whether they're in low ground or given the distance. The maximum range of this weapon system is approximately 5,600 meters. The target that they're currently shooting at behind me is 3.1 kilometers away.
Target destroyed. End of mission, over.
After an exhausting day, the troops settle into the woods, a place they often call home.
What we have here is an infantry company patrol hide, and we typically occupy these when we're in a tactical scenario. Those are the sub-call signs that can stay with us. We'll have a couple groups of artillery possibly and some engineer call signs. We have those as well, and they're located on the base of the triangle. Typically, on a deployment, a platoon or company high like this is a lot more sterile, a lot more quiet, much more tactical. By tactical, I mean soldiers are not standing up. They're not making noise, walking about unless they absolutely have to. Generally, everything is kept at about knee level or below throughout the day. None of the shelters are up during the day either. We pull them down during the day, we cover them up, and then we bring them back up at night if need be. Best case scenario, we want them 5 to 10 meters apart. That'll allow verbal communication in most cases, but also limit the damage that one grenade or one artillery shell can do. So just take out one guy, maybe.
Oh, this is waterproof, so it fares pretty good. The only thing is, if your face is exposed, it gets wet, and it's kind of a two-sided deal because it's got a big hood on it, and that'll trap water if it's not done up all the way. This was sitting in the rain all day. Dry as a bone on the inside. Best piece of Army kit ever.
We've got to get up at about 0300, or correction 0400, and we'll be doing another company attack tomorrow morning, live fire. So we've geared up to it. We make sure the guys get a good opportunity to get some sleep, and then tomorrow morning, bright and early, we're going to kick off and do a fairly complex task for a company.
When Truth Duty Valor returns.
No one wants to go to war, but someone's got to do it on behalf of Canada, and we're proud to do that.
Okay, so they're out there dominating the airstrip. We need the airstrip.
Although assisting Canadians out of troubled foreign countries can go smoothly, these guys always train for the worst case scenarios.
Mission. A company will seize objective survey no later than H+2 in order to allow for the air evacuation of CEPs.
Truth Duty Valor follows nearly 200 soldiers as they train for the moment a threat is posed to the safety of fellow Canadians overseas. These critically important missions are known as NEO, or Non-Combatant Evacuation Operations. Later, we will see the troops train for permissive environments where successful negotiations are more powerful than a weapon. Now, they train for the worst-case scenario, war.
All right, so that's what we're here to do, is take out the bad guys so that JTF can get the CEPs into location, which we're securing, get them out, then get us out.
For us, we've got 2 new sappers here that this is pretty much their first thing that they're doing with the regiment, so it's good for them. Lots of good hands-on with the explosives, and they get to see how the infantry work, so it's good training for them. We don't get a chance to do this very often either, so you take the time to do it properly, so it's a good show for our infantry brothers here.
You want me to take 2 too?
You got 2? I'm Private Mallet, and this is my first time at high-scale attack company level. This is pretty much full bore. It's a lot of live fire, a lot of good gear going on here. Stuff I've never seen before. Don't know what to expect, but ought to be a good go here.
Hey, everybody here has got 2 grenades on them right now,
yes.
Right? Everybody in the here. Good to go. Grab 2. Good. All right. Make sure everybody in your section has got 2 hand grenades. If not, come see me right now.
1 platoon, you're going to be leading, and once we cross the line of departure, of course, we're going to be about 150, 200 meters north of this track. So I want you to be heading towards this hill.
Roger that, sir.
Okay? Obviously with Bravo leading. So head towards that hill, stop short of it. Providing we're still out of contact, out of cover, what I want to do is use that kind of as some cover. All right, questions? 1?
No, sir.
2?
No, sir.
3?
No, sir.
Engineer?
No, sir.
Who?
No, sir.
DFS?
No, sir.
2SC?
No questions, sir.
Right on.
Often to get to an objective, a soldier has to walk many kilometers, carry over 100 pounds of kit, including weapons and ammo, and do so in any type of weather and with very little sleep. They are also being assessed for performance in basic war fighting capabilities.
If it ain't raining, we ain't training.
I'd say this is phase 1 of any mission. It's just moving there and waiting. When they get into phase 2, there'll be a lot of smiling faces. Phase 2 will be the attack, the assault, right? That's when everything comes together. While the leader's recce is going on, the troops that stay behind get in an all-around defense. This is known as the exploded cigar. This is the 12 o'clock facing the direction of the enemy. 6 o'clock is straight back there. And the formation that they shake out to when they advance, they're exactly in this formation now. So as soon as the command is given up and forward, they know exactly the positions to move into. And right now, in the event of any enemy attack from any direction, these guys have guns trained downrange, so now they wait.
Waiting is a big part of the overall picture in a strategic battle. These soldiers wait on the high ground where their job is to provide cover fire for the soldiers down below, right next to the objective and in the line of fire.
Every fifth bullet on the belt is what's called a tracer bullet or tracer round. What it does, when that fire base opens up, right? Picture yourself as a soldier standing in that tree line, ready to go. You're ready to go. Now you see, you hear the sounds coming. The guns have opened up. Now you take a look. Where is the enemy? You can watch this tracer bullet when it goes off, will actually streak through the sky in a red streak. And when it hits, you can actually get a direct line from where my fire base is to exactly what he's firing on. That's the enemy position. I know right what I'm walking towards. When those big bullets are coming down on top of you, it's nice to have a clear picture of where they are in the sky because you're going to be running in towards them, right? As the fire base pounds down on the objective, right? Say this is the objective, it pounds down. They're going to be flanking out from the side. So the fire base obviously is going to be swinging its fire away from the soldiers coming in, so we don't get any friendly fire incident. Tracer round also helps that out as well, because you can actually see the bullets coming through the air. The tracer bullets are the ones with the little red tips.
It went pretty good for our first time for a lot of our soldiers doing live fire company attack. It's very large. It went really well. They did good with their weapons handling, and they stayed spread out, everything that we want to happen.
Now that they've successfully completed their war training in Wainwright, it's time to move to Edmonton and train for the toughest part, negotiating peace. When Truth Duty Valor returns, the troops get some nasty surprises for part 2 of their training.
Time to switch focus now, leave the war fighting behind, and go into some Neo-specific type operation. Okay, so I know it's a quick change around. Hopefully everybody had enough time last night to wash and repack, and you're good to go for this week.
I just want to emphasize a point. Major Errington talked about, we did war fighting last week. Now we're moving on to Neo operations. And there's a change in your mindset that has to happen, has to occur. Okay, war fighting, that's what we joined for. That's what we hope to be able to do best. We're switching into Neo. It's not quite peacekeeping. It's not quite Afghanistan. It's not quite Bosnia. It's kind of a mixture of everything. UN, NATO operations, and escalating worst case scenario to war fighting. So with that in mind, you got to think about posture. Going in there with helmets on, campaign on, weapons at the ready, that's not what we're looking for. We're going to arrive sending the wrong message. What we need to do is arrive showing that we are professional, we are firm, and that we are there to conduct our own mission.
Posture is the outward image that we project to who we're dealing with. The weapon, if we want to adopt a friendly but firm posture, that professional posture in a permissive environment, the weapon should be out of sight, slung in behind, so that your hands are free, and that people, as soon as they come up and they see the weapon, that's what they're worried about. So if you just put that in behind, it projects a much more friendlier working environment.
The training these soldiers receive on how to deal with local civilians and combatants is critical to a mission's success and the safety of the Canadians being evacuated. Desperate situations lead to desperate actions, and soldiers must be ready for anything.
The way we've set up the exercise right now is about 100 soldiers are actually doing role-playing, acting as civilians, acting as Department of Foreign Affairs representatives, embassy staff, chief of police for a host nation, and those type of things, while the other soldiers who are the primary trading audience, they're getting ready to actually go in and conduct the operation.
Based on lessons learned from past missions, the NEO training staff challenge and surprise the soldiers with scenarios that reflect real problems they are likely to encounter.
We got no transport, man. This guy's got to get treated.
We need help. We need a hand here.
We got no transport. This guy's got to get fucking help, man.
You're gonna die. You're gonna let my friend die.
Anyone know first aid?
Sorry, boys, we are not allowed to. Unfortunately, right now you're gonna have to go to the nearest hospital.
We got no way to get to the hospital.
Well, there's nothing I can do. He's gonna die.
We don't get him.
Hey, look at him. You're gonna have to get your friend off the runway.
He's dying, man.
You're gonna have to get your friend off the runway. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. You're gonna have to please move off the side. Can you please step back behind the barrier, please, sir? Sir, can you please move back behind the barrier, please?
Keep breathing, man. Keep breathing.
So you're blocking up traffic. I ask you to please move back behind the barrier, please.
Hey, we gotta get him up, man.
We're gonna lift you up, buddy. Go ahead. Yep.
First aid bubbling.
Okay, stand back. Go on. Doc, just patch him up. Hey, what's your name?
Fred.
Fred?
Fred.
Use friend, relation, what are you to him?
I'm a good friend of his.
After he patches him up, you and your friend there, it's your responsibility. You'll stabilize him, get him to the hospital. You can't bring people here, you gotta bring him to the hospital. All right? You're welcome.
They handled it well. They might have been maybe a bit quicker with doing their initial assessment of the casualty and then dispatching some first aid to stabilize him. We obviously don't want anyone to die on the front gate, though there is still rules of humanitarian laws and customs that the Canadian soldiers are going to exercise when he's overseas. So they stabilized him, and what they did after that was, through liaison, contacted the host nation authorities, such as the police and ambulance, to come evacuate the casualty.
Get it back here. That's going across here. Let's go. Hurry up, let's go. Hook it on. Make sure you come inside and hook it on. All right? Okay.
Stop! I want to speak to your leader. Get him out here right now. I'll only talk to your leader.
And I nicely put the camera away. Put the camera away.
Hey! They won't let us speak to the leader. Hey! He says he's the leader, but he's not. He's lying. Huh? Who's your leader? You want to see your leader now?
Where is he?
I'm the leader. You're not the leader. I am the leader. What can I do for you?
We want to go to your chain of command. Get your leader down here.
I'm the chain of command. What is that you want?
You run all this?
Yes, sir.
You don't run all this.
Yes,
We don't believe you.
Where's your leader?
We want to
Sit here
speak
not
with your
believe me
leader.
all day, but I'm telling you, I'm running the
You
show.
lie. You lie.
Now, what do
You
you
lie
want?
to us.
You guys gotta leave.
We're from the Patagonian.
We do
nothing. We do nothing. It's our country.
Put your weapon down.
It's our country.
Hey, don't touch the fence! Don't touch the fence!
Move back. Move back from the fence. Put your weapons away and move back from the fence.
One shot. Where are you going? Where are you going?
Back way, guys. Back way.
Move back.
All right, boys.
Move back.
We'll be back.
Move back from the fence.
I am commander.
I said move back.
The ability to deal with stress is critical. Severely wounded civilians, starving people begging for food, or drunken soldiers flaunting their weapons all put enormous pressure on the soldiers at the gate. The key is to stay alert and calm.
Come back, more people. We'll be back.
A 3, this is a 360 Charlie. Be advised, belligerents are moving away from the front gate over.
Anytime an Army unit goes somewhere and they set up a camp in a gate, the main entrance to the camp, the main gate we call it, is always the point of interest for all the locals to come and see what we're all about. It seems to be the meeting place for them. They want to come talk to us. They want to see what's going on. They bring their concerns to us, you know, food, lack of water. If there's no government, and if the police force is corrupt, they bring that all to us. They know we're Canadians, so they know Canada has a reputation of helping other countries, so they expect a lot when they show up. But unfortunately, a lot of the times, we don't have that humanitarian aid that they need. It's usually the NGO organizations that do that. So we have a difficult time turning people away and explaining to them that it's not our role, and sometimes it can become a little difficult.
The thing is, if you give out food and water, what ends up happening quite quickly is the word passes like a wildfire throughout the country, and instead of having a crowd of 20, the next day you may have a crowd of 2,000, because people will become desperate and will be seeking any opportunity for food and water. So they did the right thing by ensuring that they didn't hand out any of their own supplies or any supplies that were being held here for Canadian nationals that were going to be evacuated. And they were then also doing the right thing by seeking out contacts for non-governmental agencies to direct the crowd to them.
When Truth Duty Valor returns.
We're going to go cause more trouble, make their life irritable again.
CLF! CLF!
Basically, the situation is we are coming to a country. There's a civil uprising. There's Canadian nationals that have to be evacuated. And basically, this place is a safe haven where we put out security. And this gate is really the only area that we can actually move people through. So we basically man the gate, make sure no one who's not supposed to be in comes in. And there's several challenges in a situation with civil uprising. Obviously, supplies and stuff are cut off for the locals, so a lot of people have been wanting food and water. And that's not our purpose here right now, so we have to divert them to UN organizations where they can get those supplies. So we have a lot of problems with the locals because you see the Canadian flag, they want to come get supplies and that sort of thing, so you have to turn them back, and it's a challenge because obviously they don't want to go. Yes, it's actually the first time we've done NEO training, so it's a bit of a shift. Like last week was more your traditional soldiering. Your rules of engagement a little, loose, obviously, for that sort of situation. And here you have to exercise a lot more restraint, and you have to kind of wrap your mind around that you're here to help instead of, fight a war. So it's a bit different.
Is that camera? Olaf, you give it
you Canadian pig!
Coming in, George.
Really nice guy, remember?
Food, water. Come on, now we're not too much. We want now. Food. You guys, what do you need? Food.
Some gasoline or something.
We're gonna come over here. Our main import for this country is seeds, and that's all we got. You're not gonna give us anything else? What's the matter with you guys? You're Canadians. What's your flag over there? What's the matter with you guys?
We want food! We want food! We want food!
Okay, listen, we don't have any food and water.
Give out right here. Okay, you're gonna have to go down to the ICRC or the UN.
He's got one, I can see it.
We were there. They said they had nothing for us. We don't have any either.
They said,
so
come here.
basically, I'm telling you right now is you're wasting your time standing here trying to get food and water from us out in the rain.
What we do is to ensure that we get genuine reactions. We ensure that although it is scripted for the exercise control, that the training audience, Charlie Company, who are the training audience, are unaware of what scenarios they will have to face. That way we'll get a genuine reaction as opposed to a prepared and perhaps a more scripted reaction. We just want it to be their actual reaction that they'll have.
Soldiers from A Company are already neo-trained, and they know how difficult to make the scenarios. Right now, they're dressed as a local rebel force and are giving the soldiers at the gate a really hard time.
Grenade! 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 What are you guys doing? Just kidding. Leave him! Hey! QRF! What the hell? Daddy's been here for like 10 minutes! He's bleeding and dying! He's bleeding and dying! We want guys aren't able to help him! We want food! We want food! I want the food! I'm so hungry! Hey! Go down! Victory! Hands up. Hey, give me your hand. There you go. Give me your arm. One more. I got him.
Hey! What the soldiers from A Company did for us was give us worst case scenarios all the time, which is good because if you learn how to do the harder things, the easier things are easy to do. I would suggest this. Somebody take charge and take these people out of here.
We want food! We want food!
You're not getting anything.
We want food!
What'd you do to our buddy? How come our buddy's just laying? He's not your buddy because you guys started kicking the shit out of him, so he's not your buddy. What we're doing is we're putting a bandage on him, and then we're gonna get the MCpl in here. And you got food? You got water?
Okay,
Go! Go! Get your people out of here.
We want food!
The difficult thing with that kind of mission is you kind of feel sorry for them at the same, because they do need food and water, and you want to help them, but you can't. It's not your job, and sometimes they just don't understand that, and they get quite upset with you. So you have to be careful not to lose your cool.
Police are on the way to pick you up. Don't worry about it.
If everything's going well, you try to negotiate with them, but it's very important as the commander on the ground, which I was, not to say the wrong things, not to promise things that I can't deliver in order to diffuse the situation. So you just have to try to get a rapport with one of their head leaders in the crowd and try to diffuse the situation diplomatically. So there's certain things we do to posture ourselves to give the impression that, now they're kind of stepping over the line. Now we're trying to, now we're getting a little more serious. And hopefully by us showing a little more forcefulness, maybe they'll back off and calm down and just relax, and we'll try to work things out that way.
Are they actually going to charge a gate? Are they going to blow something up? Just anything. can go through your mind because, like I said, you can't read people all that well. And so usually when people come, it's the first thing is you get to your station and you sit there and you wait. And you see what happens. If it elevates, it elevates. If it doesn't, it doesn't. This is a good experience telling us, what works, what doesn't work, how to handle people if they do this or if they do that. But once again, you don't know, can't read everybody.
It's tough to read a person when they're hidden and pointing a weapon at your head. Snipers are probably one of the most common and most dangerous threats for soldiers on a NEO mission. Their purpose is to maim or kill. Their effect is to demoralize the troops.
Okay, where is he?
Right over. Okay, one on the back, one on the front. Okay, where's his weapon and shit? You get that out of the way? Okay, I'm gonna do the feet. Done.
Yeah, on the front.
Okay, come on.
The standard operating procedure for dealing with snipers is to assist any wounded, identify where the sniper is located, and to call in support, commonly known as the QRF. QRF stands for Quick Reaction Force and is a group of soldiers within the NEO unit who are on the ready to immediately deal with emergency situations. They will come in, cordon off the area, search for the sniper, and then neutralize the threat. In this case, the sniper got away. When Truth Duty Valour returns, bringing Canadians to safety.
There's an embassy in a third world country and there's travelers all amongst it, or people that live in that country that are either Canadian citizens or allies of Canadians, then there is a system in place to go in, set up, establish, have those personnel link up at different assembly points, then come through an evacuation chain to move them back to a safe haven and eventually back to Canada.
Back to your location now, over. Right now what's occurring is a convoy of nationals are being brought to the airfield and the convoy escort being provided for them. So what's occurred is nationals can find themselves in different parts of the country or area, and right now what we're doing is bringing them to a central location for the evacuation.
When evacuating Canadians from a bad situation, the Canadian military will set up various assembly points for the evacuees to find safety easily. Eventually, every one from those assembly points will meet in one central location, the airstrip that our soldiers have secured and protected. But it isn't over yet. There's a multi-step process before they can be flown to home soil and to safety.
We're running the evacuation center, and I'm a section commander. This is basically my section running this. Section commander in 8th Platoon in Charlie Company, and I'll just run you through the process. And, basically, we start here. The evacuees would come from that direction, the gate, and they would get searched at the gate, and basically they'd try to get rid of any of the belligerents there or any problem-causing people at that point, and then escort them up into this area here. Okay, the first stage, we'd bring one individual in at a time. They'd come to this area here, which is their search area, and search all their luggage and their persons, okay? One of the searchers here, and also there'd be another soldier here covering in case anything happens. If the person gets out of hand, belligerent anyway, we set up a simple escape route, basically. We'll push them in here, which is a holding pen.
This is what happens when you can't produce ID who you are. So you put you into like a holding pen like this until they can check out who you are. And then after you pass, then you can go back through the cycle. But I'm put here until they process everybody else.
And then they'll try and find out really who you are.
Yeah, that's right.
This stage here is the identification check. And we check their IDs, make sure that they are who they say they are. We have all the forms here. Usually we have the diplomat representative sitting here also. He's a very busy man, so he's not here all the time, but he has a list of everybody that's supposed to be evacuated, all Canadian citizens, and we'll evacuate more than just Canadian citizens. Basically anybody who wants to get out, we'll try to get out. Okay, and as I mentioned before, there's a briefing outside. And part of that briefing I'd mentioned if they asked them if they had any medical problems, they come see the doctor after they've done their ID check. The doctor will sort out any problems, help them out as best as she can. And, she's helped out a lot of people so far and been pretty successful at it. Okay, and this is the staging manifest area. Now what happens here is they've already checked out with ID and everything, they're good to go. They can get on the plane, but we manifest them onto a flight. And basically, we get their list of names. They have basically their name, their priority, and how many in their party, and then we subcategorize that. After this stage, we move on to a holding area where there's cots. We have food, water, that kind of thing, so they can relax and be as comfortable as possible. So I'll also set up like a nursing area for nursing mothers or people with small children, where they can be kind of away from the big crowd and get some privacy.
More Truth, Duty, Valor after this.
Company group has just finished their validation exercise. We gave it to them pretty good over the last 48 hours. We gave them as many scenarios as we could think of. We trained for worst case scenario. We don't anticipate that everything they had to go through in the last 48 hours will actually happen. But if we throw at them more than they should be able to handle, if they actually go into it for real, it should be easily achievable.
I hope everyone had a good time on the exercise, and we bear in mind that the most important thing with a NEO is to get in there and evacuate the Canadian citizens, because that's what it's all about.
They're pretty tired. The weather didn't help out much. It was wet and rainy the whole time, but that's what adds to the whole situation. You have to persevere and make sure the job is done no matter what the conditions.
It's a challenge, and right now I'm exhausted. You could probably tell. Not much sleep, but and same with my troops. But I think it definitely achieved the aim, and we've learned a lot on this exercise. So
we had a few growing pains. This is the first time doing this practically for a lot of the soldiers.
These exercises, for this one was 72 hours long, and they will throw at you all the worst case scenarios they can cram at you in 72 hours. And it's twofold. One, so the soldiers get a chance to see all the possible scenarios that could be thrown at them and test their training. For the command structure, for us, it's to see if they can overwhelm us with the information and see if we can react and command our troops properly within the restrictions of the rules of engagement or other restrictions that are being placed upon us by the host nation that we're going into, as well as our own Canadian command structure.
Yeah, they did a good job. They were really good actors, pretty realistic. I think because of their nature as soldiers, they're a lot more aggressive than civilians were. And they're all young 20, 22-year-old men. And a lot of the crowds you'll see, it ranges from kids to young men to old people as well. So unfortunately, we had a lot of fit guys to deal with that were a little more aggressive than normal. But I mean, like we say, we like to train worst case scenario, and that pretty much was the worst case scenario.
Now that these soldiers are finished their NEO training, they will eventually be the unit that will assist Canadians around the world should they need safe evacuation from a hostile situation. Join us next week for more adventure on Truth, Duty, Valor.
154, mid-friendly on the bus in ambush. Engine one.
Don't film any of this.
What does that mean, though? Please attack.
Dude.